extra loud.
Okay, sorry.
Do it nicely.
Oh,
okay?
yes. Hallelujah.
Pure energy. Pure energy.
Every hurricane, tornadoes are a concern, but it seems like the story of Hurricane Milton really is all of the tornadoes. Have you ever seen something of this magnitude as far as the number of tornadoes we've actually ever seen?
Well, I mean, every hurricane we have a lot of tornadoes spun off. I think we may have had more tornado warnings on this one than the typical hurricane, I would think. But
to see what happened here, sadly, that is not something that's uncommon. These tornadoes, I mean, when Mother Nature, I mean, this is just churning, things turn off these weather systems, and it's just devastating. And so this is unfortunately something that is kind of normal.
I think you could go back and find tornadoes for all of human history for sure.
I just think people should put this in perspective. They try to take different things that happen with tropical weather and act like it's something.
There's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Governor, a lot of folks, particularly quite a few who trust you and listen to your information, are possibly engaging in some misinformation about some entity controlling the weather. Can you take this opportunity to announce that misinformation and set the record straight for folks who believe someone is controlling the weather?
Boy, there's a loaded softball question. And now you see what's going to happen. No one's going to be able to say weather control or someone can control the weather. You'll be taken out. And listen to this smug, arrogant textbook response.
Look, if I could control the weather, I would do 78 and sunny year round. Now we get that a lot in Florida. Coming up in the months, but there would be no reason to ever do so. Look. And this is on both sides. You kind of have some people think government can do this, and then others think it's all because of fossil fuels. The reality is what we see, there's precedent for all this in history. Like, it is hurricane season. You are going to have tropical weather. We hope that, a lot of the tropical weather are fish storms out in the Atlantic that never impact us. The reality is anything that gets in the Gulf of Mexico, it's got to hit something. Maybe it hits Mexico, maybe it hits Louisiana, but Florida's one, especially if it's when they bend east. We're the ones that are going to do. So like I said, there's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun.
Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun.
Look, he's fully aware of man's capability to control the weather and that we've done it for a long time. And he's likely aware of the weather warfare that's currently going on in our world.
I appreciate what the sheriff and his team are doing to help the citizens here. We are very, very saddened to see a tornado inflict such serious damage, including loss of life. These are things that are very, very tough to withstand. You don't get a lot of warning on them, and they're very, very devastating. And tragically, to lose 5 really, really is tough for this community. So our hearts go out to everybody who's been affected by this, and we're happy to have been supportive of the rescue efforts, and we'll continue to be supportive going forward.
So, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun.
There was a period, actually more than a couple of decades, when the U.S. government was actually convinced that they might be able to tame nature's vortex. The ambitious Project Storm Fury deserves to be remembered. The idea of humanity manipulating the weather is not exactly new. The Smithsonian's Science History Institute notes, for example, the ideas of pioneering meteorologist James Pollard Espy, whose convection theory of storms revolutionized meteorology and resulted in his appointment as the first meteorologist for the United States government, a position for which he laid the basis for scientific weather forecasting.
So like I said, there's nothing new under the sun.
A background net, never really been made public, that the master designers in ancient Egypt used to lay out the figures on the temple wall. But it wasn't simply something so that you could arrange the aspects of the art on the wall. It actually had a vibrational component to it. It is used by us today in modern Egyptian biogeometry to be able to test vibrational qualities for any person, place, or thing to a very, very deep level. It was one of the great secrets of ancient Egypt and other old traditions, connected to the Shakti concept of the Himalayan tradition. And what it actually does is it is the carrier wave that sends all the other energies. It was found by the French it could penetrate thicknesses of lead that could not be penetrated by X-rays. And so they were fascinated by it. And so in applying the negative green carrier wave energy, it is what inside the physical body actually moves the energy from one location to another, makes the organs work. And it also sends things from one system to another system. It is what conducts the energy in the energy meridians of the body, like the acupuncture meridians from the Chinese tradition. It is the foundation of sexual energy and vitality in the body. At the emotional and mental level, it breaks down resistance, opening up the blocked psychological aspects of a person to open to massive shifts in one's life and brings subconscious blockages into awareness. At the spiritual level, it actually conducts the energy from higher plane levels into the human physical body. And the more spiritual activity a person does, blessing, prayer, meditation, etc., the stronger this vibration is from their energetic field. All of our modern technology is based on cracking two codes: the code of the spectrum of electromagnetic energy and the code of the spectrum of physical matter. We call the spectrum of physical matter the periodic table of elements, based on the work of Mendeleev in the late 1800s in Russia. Now, once we cracked the code where we identified every aspect of electromagnetic energy and every part of physical substance in the world, at that point they could put the two together. So all of our modern technology is based on knowing what exact elements from the periodic table to match with what frequencies from the electromagnetic spectrum. And that's what makes your cell phone work. That's what makes the lights work at your house. What makes your car run. Everything is based on a combination of these two things. That's what makes your cell phone work. That's what makes the lights work at your house. What makes your car run. Everything is based on a combination of these two things. But, as we often describe in the work of biogeometry, what they left out was the focus of every classical tradition, because it's only been the last couple of hundred years that modern science and medicine has only focused on the physical plane. Before that, every classical tradition focused on the level of vital life force and higher consciousness above the physical, and they manipulated those energies to be able to do things on the physical plane. They actually worked at the causative level above the physical that actually gives rise to the physical level itself. Today we manipulate the physical directly, the physical and the electromagnetic. There's often a confusion about vital life force being electromagnetic energy, and I don't believe that's actually the case. I think the best solution to this was given by the great Rosicrucian teacher Rudolf Steiner, where he described the way that the vital life force, which is the foundation of every classical scientific and healing system, is at a level above the physical. And that is like what was referred to as scalar waves by Nikola Tesla. And these higher energies from the vibrational level, referred to as the etheric in the Greek tradition, referred to as chi in the Chinese tradition, ki in Japan, prana in India, etc. Every tradition had a name for it. That energy penetrates down into the physical and animates physical substance. The human physical body without this is a corpse. It animates physical substance, but in so doing it slows down below the speed of light and begins to disintegrate. As it disintegrates, it gets to be retarded Hertzian waves as described by Tesla and becomes the electromagnetic spectrum. So the problem is that we've created a new technology that's very powerful for manipulating physical structures, but does not take into account what the effect of the vibrations from these are on actual living beings. Because the actual living aspect of biological life has been stripped out of modern biology. You're not allowed to describe it. If you try to talk about life force in modern biology, they will say that you are a victim of the vitalist fallacy, and they will have nothing to do with you.
100% something going on. And Petrie, back in the late 1800s, was scratching his head looking at this stuff, and he goes, there must have been a weight of 2 or 3 tons on one. Like he sort of said it was a jeweled tube of bronze that did this. But he was looking at it. He knew a mystery when he saw it, and he couldn't explain it. I'm pretty convinced that there was There's obviously saws and tube drills that are powered by something. Now, I think it may not just be pure friction. There might be ultrasonics involved. One of the whole interesting things I like about this space is it's like, and this has to do with even like the energy stuff that Randall was talking about, that he's coming to talk about as well. There are realms of science that sit outside of our understanding. We'll know more tomorrow, in 10 years, in 1,000 years about science. So I think when we look at some of these things in the past, we should be open-minded enough to consider the possibility that some of the answers may sit outside of our current perspective, because our tendency is to look at it all and try and how would we do it? Having it resonate at a frequency that matches the native frequency of the rock and sort of separating the rock more easily. And that's a technology that we're developing. Like, we do some ultrasonic drilling like this today with jewelry and stuff, and you literally vibrate, you find the correct vibration, you can put like a little star-shaped bit through a stone. They do it in like small work. I've seen lots of examples. And if you turn off the machine, it's like Excalibur stuck in the stone. You can't get that thing out. Like you need that vibration to go through it. Plasma, you can even go as far as, well, they were softening the stone somehow with some molecular technology. I would also say that some of these examples of technology and machining extend way up to these massive objects. Like, you have 1,000-ton single-piece objects that also exhibit some of these signs of precision engineering. So you might be talking about some truly giant machines that made them. In the case of the tube drills, for example, they will, and it's a funny story, because they will argue that, no, it's not spiral. The grooves on that thing aren't spiral. And in fact, in the textbook, this is what Chris Dunn found out. In the textbook where they do try to address the engineering with that tube drill, they took the photo of the tube drill and they just tilted it just a little bit. If you admit that tube has a spiral groove on it, now you're admitting that they're cutting into that granite at a ridiculous rate, and you can't do any of that stuff with any of the primitive tools. It has this flow-on effect that just knocks over this house of cards that says all this stuff was built with primitive technology, and our whole concept of the ancient Egyptians is off.